Hi, I'm Nika Soul-Smith, the senior story producer here at Ancestry, and I am super excited to share with you today some recent updates that we have to ethnicity estimates. Now, if you've been a longtime Ancestry DNA customer, or maybe you are new and you're on the fence about testing with us, I hope that the information that I share with you today will push you in the direction of joining us on this journey. Now, if you are like me and you have African ancestry, one of the things that you may have hoped for is just to have the ability to trace your family history back to Africa. And if you try to do it on paper, it can be a challenge, especially when we get to the era of enslavement. You may be able to get back to the 1870 census, or maybe you can even go back to 1865, but you're having trouble tracing your ancestors during the period of enslavement within the United States. And for some of us, we may not necessarily want to go further back that way. We may just want to go back to the respective ethnic groups and regions and places that our families came from in Africa. And with this new update in Ancestry DNA, we have the possibility of being able to do that and connect back with those ethnic groups. So let me not put it off any further. Let me go ahead and share some slides so I can give you some information on how to find this in the newest update on Ancestry DNA. Whether you are new or seasoned with Ancestry DNA, know that there is a lot possible when you have access to a DNA test with us. There are more than 3,000 places around the world that our test covers. And as a result of that, when you get your results, you get specific ethnicity estimates that relate to you. And those could be percentages from places like Nigeria, which is my highest percentage, or maybe even Scotland, which is my next highest percentage. If you subscribe to DNA Plus, which is an additional fee, you also can see which parents contributed which ethnicity to your respective cocktail. For African American customers, there also is the ancestral journeys. And with the ancestral journeys, there are more than 400 of those. And while the ethnicity estimates and origins cover 1,000 to 2,000 years ago, the ancestral journeys, or what were formerly called DNA communities, they cover much more recent time, as recent as 75 years and earlier. And those can drill down to a county and specific regions within the United States and the Caribbean. Also, with Ancestry DNA, you have access to DNA matches. And this is where we compare your DNA with the 27 million other folks who have tested, and we tell you the degree of relatedness between you, whether it's your parents, first cousins, second cousins, and beyond. Another feature that is also a part of the DNA Plus subscription is through lines. And with through lines, you get our perception or our ability to calculate who we think your ancestors are based on the trees of your respective DNA matches. So it can give you a clue into some of who your ancestors are if you don't know their respective names. Again, with the inheritance and with through lines, you have to have the DNA Plus subscription. Lastly, and to me, this is probably the best part of the product, is you have the ability to link your DNA to a family tree. And why is that important? Well, think about those DNA matches. They're trying to figure out exactly how they're related to you. And if you've built your tree out, and you've got the records and everything and the names and the dates there, your matches can figure out exactly how you connect. And you all can also work together to break through brick walls if you all are having trouble trying to suss out who your ancestors are. So, with the update for Ancestry DNA that's coming or that is upon us, one of the things I have to point out is what are the regions that exist in Africa as they are today before the update. And here is the list: places from Senegal and Mali to Somalia and Egypt, along with Cameroon, Nigeria, Central Nigeria. These are all the existing names. And some of these names are going to stay the same, but the areas that they make up have been refined. And so let's talk about the new regions. We've added 8+ new regions in Africa, and you're looking at them here. You see a couple of them with an asterisk. Those are the ones that have been updated. And with the 8 new added regions to those that were on the previous slide, the 6 of them are in and around Nigeria. We were able to develop these ancestral regions by making concerted efforts to increase the representation of these groups in our reference panel. So as a result, many people with roots in areas like Benin, Togo, Ghana, Nigeria, or even Cote d'Ivoire may see new top regions and new regions entirely. Now, with the previous update, there were two regions, Nigeria and Nigeria East Central. But in this update, Nigeria was split into more regions, which include Nigeria, Central Nigeria, North Central Nigeria. Cameroon also saw a change. Our previous region was called Cameroon, Congo, and Western Bantu people. But as we developed our reference panel, we were able to separate Cameroon, Congo, and Western Bantu peoples region into a distinct Cameroon region and a Western Bantu peoples region. You may still see some combination of these two regions in your results. But over time, as our reference panel continues to grow, we're often able to make clearer distinctions between neighboring regions that have shared genetic histories. So, how do we get to the reference panels, right? When we construct reference panels, we use DNA relationships to guide us to the subgroups that exist genetically within a population. We start with over 10,000 people whose DNA suggests that they only have African ancestry. Many of these individuals are customers and have trees on Ancestry, and many others of them are public or proprietary samples that have been collected in Africa along with self-reported ethnic affiliation. Once we have our candidate samples, we run our algorithms using DNA relationships between the individuals. In this update, we found 13 distinct groups or clusters of individuals who have similar DNA. Once we find these clusters, we want to know more about the individuals in each cluster. Where do they live? What languages do they speak? Do they self-identify with certain ethnic groups more than others? And guess what? Based on our data, we find that yes, in fact, each cluster has distinct cultural geographical features. We surface these predominant features for each of these regions. Now, here's the best part. You probably wanted to know what are the 64 new ethnic groups that are represented in this update. And the way that we define an ethnic group is a community of people who share common cultural characteristics such as language, religion, customs, traditions, and often ancestry or national origin. And amongst the 64 ethnic groups that are available, you have those like the Bemeleke and the Bu and the Fan, along with the Alago or the Arum. And here's the thing, this is not just the only slide. There's more. Some of these you may be familiar with, like the Yoruba or the Igbo, that are connected to places like Nigeria. Now, what if your family says you're connected to a certain ethnic group that you might see on these slides, but why are they not showing up in your results? Well, here's the thing. The ethnic groups presented as a part of some ancestral regions summarize patterns we have seen in the identities of our reference panel members. Because it represents the people in our reference panel, it may not be an exhaustive list of all the ethnic groups living in an area today. In some instances, ethnic groups that live in an area today may not be represented in our reference panel. If you are connected to an ethnic group not represented in our reference panel, you'll likely get results from one of several neighboring ancestral regions that include genetically related ethnic groups. As we continue to grow and update our reference panels, we may be able to add more ethnic groups, and these will be reflected in your results. So you've heard a little bit about how we developed our newest update and the groups that make up the newest update, but let's take some time to go into what the experience is like on the actual Ancestry DNA platform. Now, how do you get to see these new ethnic groups in this update? Well, you have to have taken an Ancestry DNA test and you have to go to DNA. And once you're on your DNA, you're going to be in the origin section of the site. Now, you'll see we've got a new user interface. If you haven't been using Ancestry DNA in a while, this might be new to you. It's definitely brighter. And there's a lot of colors here as well. But if you notice, for each of the regions that are connecting back to the continent of Africa, there's a couple of things that can show up underneath it. The first thing could be the number of ethnic groups that appear in this respective group as a result of our reference panel. Now, beneath that, you also have stories that are available. And this is super incredible. This is probably one of my favorite parts of this new update. Ancestry partnered with 27 storytellers from the Rajwa Company from various countries, including Cameroon, Nigeria, Mali, Rwanda, South Africa, Togo, Benin, Sierra Leone, and Kenya, to source content, primarily short videos, representing the diverse voices and cultures of 65 ethnic groups included in this update. Now, Rajwa was founded in 2009 by first generation Ghanaian American Catherine Lady Mae Hagan as a connector agency. We gave very little direction to the storytellers. They captured what they thought was compelling or noteworthy about their people or the people they gained access to. So we get an interesting variety of content that's authentic and original. And we're going to see a little bit of it in this example. So again, you're going to get the top line origin location. And if there's ethnic groups available, you're going to see that underneath that. And then underneath that, you're going to see the number of stories that are available for those respective groups. So let's go ahead and click into Central Nigeria because it's a new region or a new origin location. And you first get a map. It's telling you exactly how we define this respective group of folks or this respective region. Underneath that in the new experience, you get a brief summary of the area, the place it's primarily located in, along with other places it may be located in. And then here is the part that you've been waiting for, the ethnic groups connected. And you'll see it'll tell you, you share DNA with at least one person in our reference panel who comes from a group below. You may be connected to one or more of these groups. And if you mouse over the respective groups, it'll actually show you on the map where they are currently located in the country of Nigeria. And see, there are a lot of them. So let's click on one. Now, when you get to the ethnic group page, of course, again, you're going to get another map that's going to qualify exactly where it is. You're also going to get information about the speaker population, primary languages, the places, the language classification. And then underneath that is where we get the region stories. Please don't miss this. There's all kinds of stuff here. Now you notice I just switched to another group. You have the ability to terse back and forth between the respective ethnic groups or even your top line origins locations with the navigation that appears to the left and to the right. So if we go back to the last one I was just looking at, the Majili, we've got history, we've got war dances, we've got the importance of bicycles amongst these folks, and these are all videos that are available for you to view. And they give you the ability to be able to see about what life is like there today. You can also toggle between the different stories here on a panel on the left-hand side or right-hand side. Now let's go back to our main origins page and check out another region. Maybe let's take the top one for Senegal. Again, you're going to get a map that outlines exactly where it is. You're going to get a brief history, where the people in the region live and where it's also found. And at the bottom of the page, you're going to get stories. So you're going to get stories for the region, and you may get stories for the respective ethnic groups that connect back to it. Let's try another. Yorubaland, which spans across parts of Burkina Faso, Ghana, Benin, Togo, and Nigeria. Again, the brief history is there, along with where the people of the region live, as well as the ethnic groups that are part of this origin, the Jin, the Yoruba, and the Idasha. And if you click on the respective group, you get a map again, along with the speaker population, primary languages, places, language classification, and again, regional stories. And these regional stories can cover things such as culture and traditions, day in the life, way of life, food, religion, and all of that and more. Now, the intent behind this feature was to give African descent customers the deeper insights into the people and places of Africa that they have roots from. And we certainly hope that people will explore all the content offered and will be inspired to delve deeper into their family histories. Now, many of you may be excited to see the 64 ethnic groups and really only want to drill down to one. But here's the thing. We actually come from multiple nations because of the nature of the slave trade and the fact that Here's the thing. There's a lot of historical interactions that took place amongst these groups many, many, many years ago. Most of us will have genetic ties to a lot of different groups that are showing up in this new update. And it's a common misconception that we only come from one. If you think about it, you have four grandparents, eight great grandparents, 16 great great grandparents. If you keep going back through the generations, most of those people are coming from a multitude of places. Now, they may come from one country very strongly, but they might come from a bunch of different groups within that respective country. The other thing is that with Ancestry DNA, we have an autosomal DNA product, and that's different than mtDNA or Y haplogroup tests, which only go through direct lines of your family. And this update will give you insight into multiple lines of descent for your family story. I'm super excited for you all to dig into this new update on Ancestry DNA, and I really hope it'll help you find your place back where your ancestors are from on the continent. Have a great day.